Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and give us just a minute or two to get connected. We're just a minute before the hour, so feel free to grab a refill on your coffee, make sure everything's good to go, and we'll begin in just a few minutes. Hi, everyone. Saying hi in chat. I'm also very excited about this webinar as well. Thank you so much for joining.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, it looks like we have people around the world, huh?
Yeah, indeed. You know what's actually funny, Will? While we're waiting for people to jump in, a couple of members of my own team had received the invite for this event, including the person who designed this document, this presentation that we got up on screen. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, shout out to whomever that was. You did an awesome job.
Mike, spasibo, bratan.
Mike, you did fantastic. All right, we still have some folks filtering in here. I'm going to give us just one more minute so that everyone can get connected and settled. So bear with me. Oh yeah, people all around the world. It's fantastic you all made the time to join us today.
Vancouver, Kenya, Mexico, France, California, Hungary, Serbia. Wow. We are worldwide.
We are indeed. Excellent. All right. So before we begin, a little bit of housekeeping items. During the presentation, please go ahead and ask us any questions. It's a lot easier for me to track if you have questions that you want us to address either during the presentation or our conversation or even the Q&A section at the end. If you drop them in the question and answer section rather than the chat, it'll be a lot easier for us to follow and address those. Okay. So I say we go ahead and dive in as we have some more people trickling in here. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Will Simpson. I am the Upwork Events Manager at Upwork, as well as being a graphic design independent professional on the Upwork platform itself. And today we're fortunate enough to be joined by Evan Fisher, who is the founder and CEO of Unicorn Capital and a highly successful independent professional pitch deck expert. Now, we have attendees joining us from around the world, as we know, who leverage Upwork from both a talent or independent professional side, as well as the client side. So, Evan, I know you work with both these sides as well, so we're really excited to hear your advice on how to really maximize your success in these various ways of interacting with Upwork. So why don't you go ahead and start us off by sharing a little bit about your background and how you came to be where you are today.
Yeah, thanks, Will. Really happy to dive in, and thanks to everyone for joining up with us. So, as you probably know, my name's Evan Fisher. I originally got started on Upwork as a freelancer a few years ago, just like many people have probably experienced recently in COVID. My job had just sort of evaporated, and so what I had to do was find out, okay, how do I make this work? Because I'm literally sitting in a foreign country, no money, no prospects of a job, no possibilities. Like I was down pretty bad. And I had a really powerful motivation to make this work. I had to support my family. And so I ended up just getting suggested onto Upwork by my mom, in fact. And it really, something really resonated, and it allowed me ultimately the ability to be able to sort of earn my way out of the massive problem, support my family, basically get total work freedom, like so many others have, and it has just turned into a massive success for me that I'm very grateful because since joining Upwork, I've been able to work with some absolutely crazy companies that are doing magnificent things, innovating the world and raising billions of dollars from the biggest investors on the planet. I was actually in a book that came out literally yesterday.
Good timing.
By an Amazon, exactly right. She timed it for me. By an Amazon best-selling author, which was nuts. I've also been on TechCrunch, Forbes, Inc., and have the Freelance MVP YouTube channel. Which, by the way, if you haven't checked it out yet, then definitely do. But I'm sure that we got a lot of subscribers in here from over there. So yeah, I've basically been able to do quite a lot as a result of just being on Upwork, and all said and done, in the first 4 years on Upwork, I earned just over 1.5 million. So yeah,
Wow, that's definitely a good successful benchmark we can all aim for. That's fantastic. So, as both a client and an independent professional on Upwork, you must have some pretty unique perspectives on how these two types of roles can really maximize their success when working on Upwork. As an independent professional myself, I'd be curious to learn some of the best practices, workflows, and suggestions for when clients are really selecting which freelancer they want to work with. I imagine these observations will be useful not only for the clients looking to optimize their searches for talent, but also independent professionals knowing how best to be visible to those awesome clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Considering where I'm at in the Upwork equation, I sit on both sides of the fence. So not only do I have the freelance side of things and everything that I just mentioned on that side, I'm also an Upwork client with roughly like 600,000 in spend. So I see things really from both sides of the equation, and I was so happy to be able to do this talk with you, because there's a lot of things that freelancers don't know really and truly about how that equation fits together. How do clients connect with freelancers? Where's that meeting point in the middle of, how does it work? And you have to understand both the client side as well as the freelance side to really, really get it. And so a lot of freelancers from that side of the equation, they know how to Upwork pretty well, but there's a lot of things that freelancers and clients don't actually know about how that matching equation happens. Because on the freelancer side, they want to get in front of their best clients, and on the client side, they want to get to their best freelancers as quickly as possible. And so this is about getting that straight line sort of connection. So there's a couple things that I come up with that there's 99% of Upwork freelancers literally do not know. So a couple of the specifics on this, for example, every freelancer has seen this. They know what a job budget range is. When you look at a job, you see, okay, this is how much a job's budget range is. This is how much the client has listed as they're willing to pay. Everybody has seen that, right? But what most freelancers don't actually know is that 99% of the time, that is a default budget range. Because clients, most of the time, have no clue, myself included, have no clue what they should be paying for an appropriate freelancer to get the result that they want on a given job. So they actually don't know. And in that hiring process, in the job posting process that a client is brought through, you see a screen like this, which is tell us about your budget. And so you can select a budget range, or you can change things. But most clients will actually just leave, myself included, will just leave it as, okay, that's what the default suggested budget range is. So we'll see what happens there. But in fact, you may be able to have a totally different proposition from that based on what it is that you as a freelancer charge. And as a client, you may say, oh, well, the budget listed was $25 to $45 an hour, but I found somebody perfect who is $90 an hour. So what? Who cares? Let's hire the person at $90 an hour. Or alternatively, somebody may be able to get the job done even under budget. So you probably should not be putting too much stock in budgets, just because from my experience, the best clients flex their budgets to work with the best. And sometimes that is really a lot. And I've seen it on both sides of the equation, both as a freelancer as well as from the client's perspective. On the freelance side, for example, just what's up on screen, one client had approached me, and their original listed budget on the job was $4,000. Okay, serious budget. That is a lot of money in a lot of places all around the world. Big money. But for that specific job, my rate is significantly higher. And so in the end of this, it was the case of, okay, well, listen, here's what the rate is, but here's the product and the result that you're going to get out of this. And ultimately we came to an agreement, and that was, more than double the original stated budget of the 4,000. So it happens very, very regularly.
Right. I know that a lot of the independent professionals I talk to, budget and trying to be maybe the lowest bid on the totem pole is sort of the way they go, but it's not a conversation that is had enough. When you're explaining to a client that the budget that they put is, maybe not within the ballpark that they really want, from your experience and knowledge, when is the best time to bring up this point of conversation when you're saying, hey, your budget's this, I'm interested in doing it? Do you wait until you've done the interview process before you say, hey, let's work on that budget? Is it from your first statement? Or at what point in the process are you having that conversation successfully, I mean?
Yeah, I'm almost always having that conversation up front, so that there's just total transparency, because it really doesn't help anybody if you get to a okay, we're interested, and then let's book a call. Okay, then let's get on a call, and then you get to the end of the call together, and the question is, okay, so roughly how much is this going to cost? And the response is, pick a number that is significantly higher than whatever the client had budgeted for that job. It doesn't help anyone, because it's really a waste of time on both sides. So in almost all cases, if I as a client have a hard budget, then I'm going to state that up front. If I, as a freelancer, am going to say, listen, this is the price, then that's also coming out up front. Here is the associated value and products that you're going to get for that price, but it's laid out up front so that there's no misinterpretations, there's no wasted time all along the way.
Right. Excellent. So it sounds like the budget range is sort of more a placeholder for starting the conversation, rather than the be all end all. I know it could be an intimidating factor for some folks. Very much so.
Very much so. In fact, my suggestion in almost all cases is, if there is a very clear fit between you as a freelancer and what that client needs on the other side, then in most cases you can ignore the budget, because if you are truly the perfect person to deliver the level of quality that client is seeking, then you should just reach out. I've seen this on the client side as well, so I can speak to it. We were just talking about this the other day, you and me. I had a job that I had listed for the YouTube channel. And if anyone's just joining, it's YouTube Freelance MVP, right? So I needed somebody to put together some thumbnail images, right? The image that you see before you click onto a video. I needed somebody good. I needed somebody very, very high quality. And I said, okay, here's a single example of what I want for this channel. And so I had a bunch of responses, all across the board, all different levels of quality, people that were reaching out, and ultimately, and so the budget range that I had put on that job was somewhere, I think, maybe in the realm of $20 to $50 an hour, something like that. And, the expectation being, okay, if we're doing 4 of these a month, then this is not a huge intensity job, but, maybe a couple $100 a month is probably around about the budget that I was expecting for that. Maybe $300-$400, somewhere around there. One person reached out to me. I looked at the work example that they had provided. It was exactly what I wanted. And ended up going forward with him and an entire team for a much more expanded package, far beyond, just simple thumbnail design, into a big package that was almost 10 times my original expectation of a budget, a much larger product. But it was one of those situations where it's like, well, this is exactly what I want, so let's do it. And it was fantastic.
That's a huge shift in your original game plan, but I suppose it is a great way to highlight how important it is to establish yourself as the expert in the space up front, and then by doing so, you're looking at all the peripheral pieces which are connected, and they were able to say, hey, Evan, you need this, and this, and we can handle it all. So that took a small job posting into quite a large ongoing piece of work. That's a fantastic example.
Much larger scope, much larger level of responsibility, because there was a certain level of quality. And it just so happened that the client that person was speaking to, in that case me, did have an interest in doing something far bigger than just a smaller job. So right fit, right job, and turned into a totally different discussion versus what was originally anticipated. And that happens a lot.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, getting into more on that fit and sort of optimizing it so that you can find your best fit clients, your best fit jobs. I'm just going to sort of as a blanket statement, anything that if you're a client that's attending this and anything that sort of feels bad, the reason why I mention it is because I am guilty of all of these things. So don't feel so bad, and I should know better. So on the skill tag side of things, if you're a freelancer, you see all of the different skill tags. In this case, we've got up on the screen video editing deliverables, video editing, post editing, Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut, FCPX. And so, these are the sort of skill tags that you see on a job that are listed there, right? Most freelancers see this, but 99% of freelancers don't know that most of those skill tags are actually incorrect guesses as to what's going to be needed or what sort of things are going to you're going to be doing or using in the context of that job. Because guess what? If the client knew in most cases exactly what it is that they need, well, I'll just put it this way: in most cases, they don't know exactly what they need. They need you to tell them what they need as someone who, can guide them along this journey and say, okay, well, listen, this is actually what you're going to need to do, or here's the better way to do it, or here's how to do it more efficiently. But these tags are really, really bad guesses in a lot of cases, myself included. I don't know how to edit a video. I wish I did. I don't know how to, I do not know how to use Photoshop for the life of me. So, Will, I'm probably going to need your help on that stuff.
You got it.
Or Mike. But yeah, that's how the skill tags sort of true up. And where that messes people up on the freelance side of things is that just because a job is tagged with a specific skill tag doesn't mean that it's necessarily a job for you. In the case, if we're talking about, database administration, which, by the way, hint, I know nothing about, but I do know that there is a very specific technology, a very specific term that you are only going to see in a job that has your specific skills if you are this kind of developer. So if you search in Upwork's advanced search, rather than searching for database administration skill tag and saving that search in order to try and find your best jobs, right? If you search in the advanced search function for MySQL, that's MySQL up top, then you're only going to see that search term pop up on a job that is dedicated for that technology, or that needs that technology, or needs somebody to do something with that. What freelancers should look for when they're searching for jobs is look for specific technologies, coding languages, specific types of platforms that you are only going to see when there is a job that's probably made for you. For example, if you are a video editor, okay, there's a lot of video editors. But if you are the person who does YouTube Shorts, then if you search for YouTube Shorts as like an isolated search term, then you may find all of your best clients using specifically that thing, because you're only going to see YouTube Shorts pop up in that search. So one of the things to really up your game as far as on the freelancer side, you want to use advanced search. And there's a specific article that if you Google it, you'll see in the Upwork community, advanced search syntax. Like, learn that stuff, because it will get you straight to the holy grail of your most wonderful jobs. And then you can set up saved searches to cast that wider net. On the client side of things, just have the expectation that the method of which you're trying to go about your job and the tags that you associate with it, don't try and over tag things. I'm guilty of this too. But understand that the right freelancer in a lot of cases, especially if it's something technical, will be able to suggest here's probably the best solution of what you want to go with as well. So that's how I would suggest approaching that type of stuff.
Before we move on from that one, how to identify some of these specific keywords to be searching for? I know that there's freelancers at many different stages of their journey, some just starting, some veterans, some in between. What are some other ways that they can really identify what some of those keywords are? Should they be looking at job postings? Can they look at other talent? What are some of the avenues you'd recommend for them to really identify those spicy keywords at work?
I would be looking first and foremost at the jobs. And then I would be looking at freelancers' profiles, okay, their skill tags. And then I would be looking at freelancers' descriptions of the most successful people that are out there specifically. The reason why I would do it in that order is, first, guess what? The client's always right. So if the jobs are all tagged with Photoshop, but guess what? They're for After Effects. Well, then you probably, if you're trying to do After Effects, then you might want to be searching for Photoshop. So that's one little, that's why I would do that first. Second, I would go after the highest earning freelancers in a given niche and check out their skill tags. What is working for them, and take that into account. But then I would be looking at people's descriptions and saying, okay, what are the soft terms, the sort of MySQL or C++, I'm just saying, or JSS type of things that are the, let's say, beyond the skill tags. That's what I would be looking at.
Cool.
So how that matters and what happens from there in terms of that matching piece. And I love that we're able to do this specifically. Everyone who's attending, thank you so much for coming. I love that we're able to do this, because this is, if it wasn't sponsored by Upwork, then we couldn't even talk about this stuff because it'd be against the terms of service. But in terms of matching, client and freelancer, how that works beyond just searching for the jobs in the first instance. And this is, showing the let's say the secret side of Upwork, I guess, with respect to invitations, client invitations to freelancers. What freelancers are not seeing is the profile tags that you have, those tags that we've just been talking about and how they fit together and work, is they actually influence the matching the matching piece that a client is going to see immediately after they post a job as to invitations. When a client is posting a job, then what they see immediately after they post that job, they're going to see this screen. That is where every single freelancer on this expert talk wants to be. You want to be the number one result. And I can tell you, hint, hint, there are way too many factors that you can't game this system. Okay. You can't SEO your way to the top on this, unfortunately, but you can influence things sort of little by little, to to help yourself up to the top. And so those job tags and skill tags that you have both on your profile as well as for the tags that were on that job that you just completed and got 5 stars on, those all aggregate and influence your ranking on this screen to get invited to jobs immediately when that client has just listed their job and is looking at freelancers to invite, where they don't have to spend a connect.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Evan. You've been on the client side here. So when you have posted a job and you just refresh and it's on this page, how often would you say is it that the person you end up hiring is usually listed in this first section here?
Probably the person that I end up hiring. I would say listed somewhere in the top a couple of pages.
Right.
About 60% of the time. So extremely strong. I'll say it may be less than that. But for the jobs that really matter, yes, I'm going through those profiles. I'm checking out what people are doing. I'm looking for other examples of work that I can compare levels of quality based on what I'm trying to achieve. So in 100% of cases, I'm going through profiles and checking out specific freelancers that I would want to invite. Yeah. So that side of things, extremely important. And that's how the skill tags flow into that. Now, going beyond that, once you get to that point of assessment of are we actually a good fit or not, there's your own little matching equation that's going on. And so for freelancers on assessing clients, for me, there's a lot that I'm looking for, and there's a lot that I'm looking to stay away from. And for very specific reasons. One of the things on this page that I think came out the other day when we were just chatting about it, Will, was the negative feedback. Okay, when you end a job, then freelancer gets feedback, and the client gets feedback, right? When looking at if you're a freelancer and you're looking at a potential client to accept a job from, or to work with, or to even apply to that job in the first instance, like I'm always checking feedback, especially if there's multiple poor feedback for that client. That means it can mean any number of things, but oftentimes it's that the client themselves, and only when it's multiple being very, very important here. Right. Everybody can have a one-off bad experience. But if it happens again and again and again, that client is probably doing a bad job of hiring the right people for the jobs that they need, or just making some bad decisions in multiple instances. Either way, if that's the case, they're not getting me reaching out to them.
Right.
Another thing that totally signs me off of a job is going to be the hard ask for a discount, and that goes beyond what we had discussed, which was, hey, could you do me a favor, and can we do a better deal? I have to ask, gotta ask if there's a discount, sort of thing, right? That's like a soft ask, right?
Yeah,
that's fine, and it's always fine to ask, and your response can vary as based on what your strategy is and how you value your work as a freelancer. But if it's a hard ask of, I expect a discount, you got to do better for me on the rate or something like that, like, no way, no thank you, because that's a marker. That's a marker of a person who has a very strong expectation and who's probably seeking just a different budget, or wants to do a deal. But it's unfortunately the mark of a person who is not going to likely value your work extremely highly.
Right.
As a result of the project.
Let me ask you this. I've had a lot of conversations with many different independent professionals, and the veterans all seem to have a continuous sort of answer on this one. But in your experience, do you find that the clients that are the hiring for the least amount are the easiest to work with, or the ones that are paying the biggest amount of money are the easiest to work with? Which one of them trust you as a professional and give you the least amount of micromanaging?
That is the easiest question for me to answer. The easiest clients to work with, my favorite clients, are the highest paying ones. And not because it's the most money, it's because they're literally the easiest to get going, the easiest to work with, that, clearly understand the value, who have done their homework and know who they want to work with, and are not going to micromanage every single step of the way. The lower the budget, the more difficult the project. And now the trade-off is that at the higher levels of price on a given project, there are going to be fewer clients. And so you're not going to have an enormous pool of people that you can be working with. But, when you're working at that level, yeah, it's fantastic. I have great experiences the higher that people are paying.
Yep, and that's what I hear from everyone. It's the ones that they try and do a friend deal, those end up taking all of your time, and they're just a little bit of a black hole of energy sometimes. Not saying that there's no value in that, but just to be mindful of expectations when engaging with the different types of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. There's more markers of clients that would just not be the greatest fit, but to shift gears onto what does look like a great fit, at least what I like to look for, and what I also try and be as a client as well. When on the freelance side of things, if I'm looking at that client and seeing, okay, they have fantastic stats, lots of spend, and a very high percentage of hire rate, meaning if they put up a job, they're probably hiring for it. Not just like, hey, we're looking for somebody and maybe we'll hire, maybe we won't hire. That's not so great, because as a freelancer, you might be applying to a bunch of jobs that, somebody posts 5 jobs, maybe hires for only 1. So that doesn't feel so good, and it doesn't feel like, you're really making a connection with something that's real. But beyond that, when you're putting up a job, clients, be short and clear. The more prescriptive that you feel that you have to be for a job, that tells me on the other side of the equation as a freelancer that you are looking for somebody that you're just going to tell them every single thing to do, and you're looking for somebody who on a budget. So short, clear, to the point, and people who should get it and who have those skills, they're gonna get it. That's what I'm looking for, as well as when there's an extremely good fit between what it is that you do as a freelancer as well as what that client is looking for. When there's a fantastic fit, then it's going to be definitely a job worth applying to. When you've got experience in that job type, industry, that specific deliverable, that's really great. And the biggest bonus is when it's an invite-only job and there's only one invite and it's straight to you, Will.
That's so good, that feeling. I love it.
Yeah, likewise. I'm interested to, should we jump into some Q&A or should we keep rolling? Because I'm sure that we got a ton of questions.
There is an immense amount of great questions. What I'd like to do is let's finish what we're talking about here, and then we'll leave as much time as we can for Q&A, because there are fantastic questions going on right now.
Okay, awesome. Well, then let's shift gears, across to the client side of things as well, because freelancers, I am telling you this, just 100% clarity. So listen very, very closely. On the client side, if I'm your client or any other clients who are watching this, we are doing this to you too. We are red flag, green flagging you too. So if you are sending, okay, and I really need to stress this point, there are very few human beings on earth as a client that will not realize that you have sent a generic cover letter. If you are sending a generic cover letter and not personalizing it, dude, we know. we've seen all of them. You can't I know that it's against the rules and everything, but I also know that a lot of people do it. So if you're sending a generic
copy and paste.
Yeah. If it's generic, then just forget it. Don't even spend your connects because it is not worth it. Because we all know, we can all see it, we can all spot it. But beyond that, red flag side of things, if you've got multiple, again, keyword being multiple negative feedback, then yeah, forget it. Everybody can have a bad experience, sure. Myself as well. I've gotten dinged by clients that just the job didn't go great. But if it's over and over again, then it's probably on me. It's probably me doing something wrong. But if it's one poor feedback, but that it's really recent and well written, like that person spent time writing this and has put 2 paragraphs of, Will, what were you saying the other day? Because it was really, really awesome.
Oh yeah, when people complain, if they take time out of their day to actually write a well thought out thing, it's probably true. No one likes to give away their time for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So there's a ring of truth when someone has a well articulated argument on why you sucked on the project.
Yes, yeah. It was like it's it was late and it was poor communication and they didn't tell me what they were doing and this and that but it's extremely well written and well composed and quite long and detailed. Then okay, you're probably not getting the job. Same thing with attitude really comes through as well in messages, and everybody's got to be conscious of what does the tone of what you've written speak to in terms of how you're approaching this type of job. However, on the flip side of that, if you have clearly tailored your message and you've shown that you've done your background research and shown that you're motivated to take this job on, and beyond that, you've also provided some really relevant work examples that just speak to exactly what I'm looking for as a client, then yeah, I'm listening. I'm interested. So yeah. That equation of how to get past that red flag, green flag, that's sort of the first filter really that clients are going through. But not everybody realizes that there's a selection on both sides of the equation.
Absolutely. Now, there's a great question from Fred in our audience that's on this exact same topic, so I want to bring it up here. He's asking, do you have a system for bidding on jobs? Like, do you allocate X amount of time per day, or do you aim on putting out X amount of bids per day? And I know you're working at maybe a different echelon than some folks here, but what do you suggest as a sort of workflow on that one?
Yeah, in terms of workflow, I literally have a YouTube video about this. What I call it the 3x3 method, right? And it's very, very simple. You should be, it's basically set up your my feed on Upwork to show you your best fit jobs, and through those saved searches, advanced search and whatnot, and check that 3 times a day. And the way that I like to sort of create a little marker for myself as I'm going and scrolling through the my feed list of jobs is if I see 3 jobs in a row, it's like, yeah, not a great fit, not a great fit, not a great fit. So I'll sort of downvote them just because I know that it doesn't make any difference as far as what jobs I'm going to be shown, but more so it's a marker for me of like, okay, when I check the platform again, then I'm only going to scroll down to the last 3 in a row that I have downvoted because that's where I left off last. And so if you do that 3 times a day and just aggregate them all, then go to your, I should say, when you see one that you like, put a heart on it, then go over to your saved jobs and sort of batch apply to those jobs. If you do that 3 times a day, you're going to be making money.
Yeah, that's a great way to earmark. And I bet you that's also a good idea for coming back to your setting your tags and having that all sort of aligned. You'll see some continuity in the jobs that are sparking, catching your attention. You'll see those different keywords and framing. So useful in multiple ways, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You'll see a lot when you go through jobs very, very regularly. It's all about consistency. In fact, but coming back to the client side of things, just to wrap up that side, if you're a client and you're looking to hire the absolute best people and also not break the bank for it, and have them just be total allies and very much invested in your project, then one of the markers that I can say that was extremely useful for me was this, and this was a couple of years ago. One client that I worked for, he gave me we closed out the project. Everything was great and it was really wonderful. And he said, I want to give you a bonus. I said, okay, thank you. Really appreciate that. That's fantastic. Let's go. And then he gave me the most wonderful, glowing, amazing 5-star, 10 out of 10, just like wonderful review I could ever have asked for in my entire life. Like, he literally wrote, and this is a client that has over $1 million in spend, right? He said this, and I won't forget it. I have hired dozens of freelancers across my 10 plus year career, and working with Evan was by far the best decision that I ever made, the best freelance hire that I ever made.
Wow, powerful words.
The most powerful words. And I couldn't even believe it. I was stunned. And so I reached out to him and said, hey, listen, why did you do that? And so what he told me was really interesting. He said, hey, listen, everything that I wrote was true, but it was the cheapest bonus that I could possibly give you because that will be more valuable to you than money. And you know what? He was absolutely right.
That is so right. Let me ask you, do you have that printed and framed in your office? I would.
I've got a lot of other things printed and framed, but not that one. But he is the one that I'll mention in front of 2,000 plus people. So yeah, it's really, really meaningful, and that stuff does happen. And clients who do that and recognize the value that a really, truly glowing review can have to the people who have really contributed a lot of value to your business. Those are the people that every freelancer wants to work with, because if you see reviews like that before you are potentially potentially and this is the client that is giving reviews like that. One thing that always comes up with me is that from finance, they teach us past performance is not an indication of future results, right? Yeah. But what I've learned is past human behavior is absolutely an indicator of future human behavior. In fact, it's a very, very strong correlation between the two. So if you've done something in the past, you're probably going to do it again, or are more likely to do that again. So if you're talking to a client that is giving those sorts of reviews, of course you want to work with them, because it's almost like it doesn't matter what is the job paying, because if that person is going to give you such a fantastic, wonderful, glowing review, I mean, the world is your oyster, isn't it? So
absolutely.
that's what the best clients are doing. And I would work for that guy again in a second. And I'm sure that any other freelancer would too. And beyond that, the other sort of traits and characteristics that you see in the best clients, and you see it very, very early on, is the people who leave room for trust. Meaning you don't have to overspec things. You can understand that, yes, people will bring their own ideas to the table. Also, same thing, don't over invite. When we talked about that invitation screen before,
right.
If you invite 10 people, then the person who's truly best for that job is going to see that. And they're going to see when they get that invitation, how many invites were sent. And if it's, put it this way, if I'm looking at a job like that and there are 10 invites that have been sent, unless it's the most amazing fit in the world and a personalized message and so on, then I'm not even going to engage because there are people who sort of respected the unspoken code, right?
No doubt. And then, so how about from a freelancer side? What can we do to get our cover letters to really draw the eye of the clients that we're trying to see here?
Yeah, I'm conscious that we're on a timer here, so I'm going to fly through this stuff really, really fast. But in fact, we're going to be doing a live stream on the YouTube channel immediately after this. So anybody who's on that wants to upgrade the level of their cover letters, by all means, hop on afterward. But in broad terms, a really truly awesome cover letter has got to be digestible. So it's got to be just very simple, very easy to understand, hard hitting, meaning it's got to be impactful, and action oriented. So what does that actually translate into, and how do you achieve that? There are a couple of there's a sort of approach that I like to take in terms of getting clients to respond to me when I'm reaching out to them as a freelancer. A couple of principles that are, I think, really important are that most freelancers are actually missing is in the first couple of lines of your outreach, of your cover letter. Most people are talking about themselves. Hi, my name is XYZ and I do this and I can potentially help you with your project. It's like that does not work, like ever. Don't focus on yourself because it's not about you. It is about the client. What is it that they need? What are they struggling with? What are they frustrated by in getting this job done? That they need someone like you to help them be not frustrated and achieve their actual deeper goals. And so that leads into showing that you understand what's at stake. You know the struggles, you know the frustrations, you know the industry as well. Hint, like pro tip here, if you can demonstrate that you know a given client's industry and you've worked in it before, that is a major benefit for a lot of clients. So that's a major positive as well, especially when you've done this before and can demonstrate those results. That's really helpful. Now, the review that I mentioned earlier, the Gold Star Dynamite review, that plays into showcasing the snippets of your reviews and just like cutting them up of, here are some of the things that other clients are saying about me. Nice. Quotation marks. The best hire that I've ever made in over $1 million worth of freelance spend, right? That sort of thing. You can snip that quote and drop it into your cover letter. This is what other clients are saying about the results that they're getting of working with me. And also, if you are allowed and have been permissioned by the client, you can then share those relevant work examples, but they must be relevant. I actually had a question a while ago about, hey, should we put it as a link, like a hyperlink to a portfolio that's allowed to be shown, or should we be attaching our like PNGs, GIFs, that sort of thing, to a proposal? I say do both. Some people click links. Some people want to check out attachments. Yeah. So why not make it as easy as you possibly can? And then the sort of last two things are get out, get on a call. Your number one thing, especially as you raise your rates as a freelancer, you've got to be getting on calls. Like that's your number one thing. Don't try and do everything by a message because that is not going to work. You need to have a reliable Zoom connection. And the last piece is that the PS plays. People will read they'll skip over an entire message, but they will read the PS at the last piece of it. You'll scroll through all of the rest and then just read the PS. So make sure that whatever you're writing in that PS is just mega valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of like the TLDR Reddit sort of style. You always read that.
Exact same principle. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the questions that has been asked a couple different ways from the audience, like, can you deliberately ask a client for a glowing review, like the excellent one you had? Like, how would you go about trying to craft that situation? Do you just ask it, or you wait for it to come naturally? What are some of the ways that you lead into that situation?
So whenever I'm delivering a final version of the work that we're putting together for a client, then Yes, I always ask for a review, a deserved review. And one of the crazy misconceptions, and Will, please, like, if you know differently on this topic, then please, like, stop me on this. But one of the crazy misconceptions is that, somebody mentioned in a forum one time, you can't ask for a review. And I was sitting there thinking, like, exactly, that you cannot ask for a review because it's against the terms and conditions, isn't it? It's against the terms of service of Upwork. And I'm like, I've read through the terms of service. Have you? Because it's not in there. You can't pay someone to give you a review. You can't have incentivized reviews. There are rules around that. But this misconception that you can't ask people for a review is totally crazy. So yes, I ask for a review, a fair review every time. I always ask for, if you had a great time on this, then please give a 10 out of 10 and 5 stars across the board. And if for any reason you wouldn't feel comfortable giving 10 out of 10 and 5 stars, and a glowing review, then please let me know so that I can make it right, because I want you to have that 5-star experience. So yes, basically it's kind of like an insurance policy of, okay, yes, please give that review. But if you are just feeling like you're not fully there yet, then reach out to me, because we'll take care of it. Like I want you to, if I'm getting a review, I want it to be, top of the line, and if at all possible, then hey, listen, let's work it out to figure out what's going to get you there. So yeah, it's a demonstration of commitment. Of course, I'm asking for it.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I first ask, when I give the closing stages, are you happy with what I delivered? Do you have everything that you need or wanted and expected? And if their answer is no, I keep repeating the cycle, do the work until I get the, Will, we love it, you're a rock star. And then I say, great, if you have any more work, I'd love to help you out, looking for the upsell. We just did your logo, why don't we do your flyer, your business cards, whatever it may be. And then, no, you don't have to. Okay, great, well, let's close it out, leave me some review. But yes, asking for that feedback and making sure that you're getting a pulse on it before you're asking for it.
Exactly. But if you're asking for it, then always to demonstrate the commitment to make sure that, yeah, you did deliver 5 stars and it was worth it.
Absolutely. Now, a couple people have asked this in a variety of different ways. Do you think it's better to have a broader list of skills? Like if I'm good at a variety of things, do you think I should be making profiles for each one and applying out to jobs? Or do you think it's maybe more advised to focus on a few core aspects and build up your portfolio that way? Or does it just depend on the person? But from your perspective.
All right. So then this is where I'm going to say, just like Peter Thiel, I have very strong opinions, loosely held. So, convince me otherwise. I am a huge, enormous fan of you have to niche down. You have to niche down and be as targeted and focused as you possibly can. Because, for example, if I look at Will's profile, and Will has been doing some copywriting and some Photoshop and some After Effects and maybe some video editing in there, because Will's got a pretty wide skill set. Okay. I'm looking at all these different rates and all of these different, types of job structures. And I'm like, what the heck does Will do? I don't know what you are an expert at. Yes, I see 5-star reviews, but are you that guy who is literally all you do is that, and you're the best at what you do? I have no idea. I have no, metric or yardstick to be able to even say. So I suggest, once you get to the level that you have established what it is that you do and you want to be doing continuously, yes, you can try things, in your early days. If you're a beginner, then yes, try different things, different offers, and see what you like, see what fits, but quickly, get to it of that's what you do. Right. When I started off, I was financial modeling plus business plans plus pitch decks plus some sales stuff plus all weird different things.
That sounds familiar.
It was a very quick decision of okay, well, that's the thing, and there's more than enough clients in this specific deliverable, so that is all I do. And it was a very quick tightening process of Nope, no more holding myself out there as doing this and that and the other and so on.
Absolutely. Now, another good question here, and it's a question that comes up a lot. So, it's easy to differentiate yourself when you're putting out proposals on jobs, differentiating yourself from maybe people with lesser talent than you, or if you've had experience in a specific job. But once you're sort of in that middle zone of being an independent professional where you've got your business flowing, you haven't quite moved into the big leagues yet, and you're trying to really differentiate yourself between other talent in the space. What are some ways outside of just dropping your price, which is obviously not a good way to do it in this approach, but what are some of the ways that I can differentiate myself compared to my peer groups when I'm putting out some of these proposals?
Right. Yeah. So we're talking like advanced mode strategy.
a little bit.
As you're getting in there. Yeah. Okay. So then I would say the biggest thing that you need to do is you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. You're not actually competing against anybody on Upwork. I don't compete with anybody on Upwork. I
agree.
And you don't compete, and nobody else competes with anybody else on Upwork, incidentally, because everyone, in spite of what some people would tell us, everyone is in fact their own little snowflake on Upwork. Everyone has a different skill set and a different offer and a different approach toward doing a given project. No two approaches are the same. No two deliverables will be the same. So I will go ahead and say, understand that you are not competing against anybody else on Upwork. You're actually competing with a totally different business solution. So if you're talking about how do I differentiate myself, then stop looking at what everyone else is doing on Upwork and start looking at what everyone else is doing in the broader market. So one of the things that I like to do on that advanced side of things is, if this client were to go to the most highly priced consultant in the industry, whether they're on Upwork or not, if they were to go to that highest priced person out there, what would they get? And how does what I can offer compare to that? Because it doesn't matter to me what else is available on Upwork. I want to compete at a global scale. So up your game and consider that those people and those businesses are your true competitors, and figure out a way to be able to offer at least 80% of the value that the best superstars in the world are doing. If you're doing logo design, for example, figure out how you can get to a process that delivers at least 80% of the value that you would get by working with Pentagram. And if you can deliver 80% of that same value, especially if it's at the fraction of the hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of dollars that Pentagram would charge, well then, okay, you are on track, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the techniques I do in a similar vein there is, we talked about earlier, the big no-no of copy and pasting proposals out to different clients. So the inverse of that is one of the approaches I take is, if there's a job which is a good match for me, it's a bigger league client, I'm excited to get it, I will take the time to do a little bit of research, not only on that client themselves, but some of their competitors. I'll take a look at, like, if I'm in graphic design space, so I'll look at what are their competitors doing in the the logo space or whatever the project may be, and come into the proposal saying, hey, I've taken a look at some of the people in this space. It looks like this is what you're working with. Is this the direction you kind of go? And having that sort of just a little bit of pre-research on the task has really helped set me apart in some of my efforts.
Oh, always. I actually ask for the same thing in the context of any call that I'm going to take. I always want to come in and be informed. So I would like to see, okay, what is it that you've got so far? Let's take inventory. Where are you at? Do you have the sort of baseline things that we need in order to potentially get started, or are you too early on? So I actually ask for that, and I've, in very rare cases, have I found people that will push back on giving any of that sort of information. With coming into that call, yes, I'm doing my background research. I'm looking up, what's the person on LinkedIn, what's their background, where are they from, what's the business about, what does it do, have I worked with somebody similar in this space before, and getting a pretty good feel. And I announce it at the start of every call of, hey, listen, happy to dive right in. Just a heads up, I've done a little bit of background research and checked you guys out. So I'm up to speed on the business side of things. But I'd love to ask you a couple of really specific questions that I think will help us find out that if we're fit or not relatively quickly. Sound good?
Yeah.
So
nice.
That's
Fantastic.
definitely a way to go.
Well, folks, I know we had a lot of excellent questions. We were able to get to some, not all. Evan, thank you so much for your time here. I'm going to go ahead and paste the link. Is it the Freelance MVP YouTube link for your event that you're doing actually right now?
Yeah, youtube.com/freelance MVP. We're literally going to kick off the live stream like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I dropped it in the chat. So if you guys want to continue getting some of Evan's fantastic information, highly recommend you check that out. Thank you so much for joining us, Evan. This was an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed having you on here. We look forward to chatting again soon.
Likewise. The PS to this whole conversation is PS. If you need some assistance in putting together or a fantastic cover letter, and basically the one that has helped me earn over $1 million, then jump on the live stream now, youtube.com/freelance MVP, because PS,
I will be there.
It's going to be awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Yeah. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.